Ladies and gentlemen. All right, we're good. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Shifting Gears. I am joined by Wigan, who's laddering still. Did you win, man?
Nope, I'm done now. I pulled all the SCVs because we had to go.
Dang it. Dang it.
It's alright.
Sorry, dude.
I was winning the game, so I'll count it as a win.
Good. Good. We saw a lot of winning happening this weekend with the MLG Summer Arena. Liquid Tasia takes home the $10,000 prize. Congratulations to Team Liquid and to Tasia. Young player. A lot of people were sending tweets on Twitter that Nazgul knows how to choose him.
Sure does.
He sure does, and it's a victory for the Terran players as well. Or is it? Does it mean there's going to be no patch needed to help Terran here? Oh, Terran.
Well, one tournament result shouldn't mean anything for balance. Who knows if it does, but it should.
Well, was it out of 35? 35 major tournaments, major events. Less than 10% of those 35 wins were Terran. Huh.
Could be.
Interesting.
I think the one I saw was if Tasia didn't win, it would have been 7 major tournaments without a Terran player in the finals. But again, I mean, it was that way for Zerg players for a while.
Yeah.
We'll see. I mean, I think most people know there's a problem with Terran at various stages of the game, but who knows if it's something that needs to be addressed now, or if it's Heart of the Swarm coming soon, or I guess it still remains to be seen. I'm not 100%, even as a Terran player, I'm not 100% convinced that they need a big buff or anything like that. Anger all my Terran friends, but
I don't know. We'll see. I was able to talk with Trimaster a lot more on that, and some of the other people that were there at the arena, and don't know if it's a window of time that the Terran players have to adapt on what's happening with the Zerg and the patch changes for the Queen, or if there's seriously something that makes Terran players at a disadvantage. But you know what, Wigan? As much as you and I talk about this, you know what MVP's doing right now?
Practicing, trying shit out.
He's practicing.
Well, he's resting his neck. But.
Yeah. He would be practicing if he wasn't.
He would
resting.
be practicing.
That's right. Well, I want to welcome everybody to another episode of Shifting Gears, episode 49. Dude, we were almost at 50. It's been a long road so far, but so glad that many people have enjoyed this show enough for us to keep going, and we will continue to keep going. It is live. Make sure to tell your friends on Twitter.
Spread the word.
Spread the word, man.
Yeah.
Spread the word. People like the show. Just need to have more people watch it. So, first off, you guys know him already. We've been talking. He ladders. He plays StarCraft 2. He is a Masters player and also a Master admin at MLG events. The players love him. Adam Apicella likes him. Ryan Moore likes him. He is not responsible for extended series, but he does have to enforce it. So he is only the messenger. He is Wigan. Wigan, great to have you here again, my friend.
Always a pleasure.
So tonight, guys, we're going to cover the MLG Summer Arena. It's going to be a recap of what happened from my perspective being there and from Wigan's perspective of watching. And we hope you guys enjoyed the arena itself. And a lot of people work hard to put this on. And there's a lot of unsung heroes when it comes to esports. They don't have the face time, the camera time. They don't have the Twitter followers. But they do their jobs. And when people do their jobs, you have a great product. And I think, once again, MLG had a great product this weekend, just like NASL had a great product the weekend before. So back-to-back weekends of great StarCraft 2 action, great esports action. It was a blast to be a part of both. But first off, Wigan, let's talk about the format of the MLG Summer Arena. It was different this time in terms that it had 2 tournaments that went on in 16-player brackets. And the winners of those 2 brackets faced off in the finals, which actually nullified any sort of extended series that would happen at the event. In terms of the finals, there were extended series in the individual brackets, but in the finals, there were not. So let's talk about that first, man. What was your initial thoughts on that announcement?
I think it worked beautifully, actually. I mean, you can argue a lot both ways, whether or not you like extended series, and I think most people would say they don't. But I think that was a very clever solution to it. It definitely made for... Well, it was nice to have a final that isn't messed up by it or anything like that. There isn't any sort of silly, like, oh, win 2 games and it's over kind of situations that can occur. And I think it worked beautifully for it was kind of for what they had and what they were trying to do with the arena. Sort of like a lot like NASL had the way they ran their thing in the brackets in WCS. It sort of fit the event. This was another example of an organization adjusting to fit what they were trying to do with the event.
And we're seeing kind of an evolution of growth and ideas that work with a lot of leagues. With MLG, you know, the extended series is kind of on the ropes right now. Slasher had another great article on GameSpot. You guys make sure to check that out. You know, he is spreading the gospel of esports to a lot of the casual gaming fans around the world on that website. And
have you seen the comments on that site?
It is, but have you seen
casual?
Have you seen the responses from people in esports though? It's
true.
It's pretty cool that people are understanding, like, hey, if we want this to be more mainstream, you know, you got to defend your stance of what esports is all about. And it brings to mind a saying I heard kind of recently about oppressed people becoming the most oppressive. And if you look at nerds, you know, in high school and whatnot, and maybe not like super oppressed by, you know, the jocks, but not feeling like part of the crowd, you know, and then when they see these people being popular for playing games, for doing things that they did in high school but weren't popular because of it, they like to kind of become the oppressors themselves. So that's just kind of a deep psychological profile of something that, I don't know, maybe it doesn't mean that much to some people, but when others are trying to make a career out of it, it means a lot. And comments on a website to some may seem like nothing, but to others, it looks like a jab at their passion, and they want to stand up to it. So after plug-in Slasher and GameSpot here, did it work? Did this bracket system work?
I think so, man. It's hard to argue that it didn't. Everything worked out pretty good. Oh god, I'm gonna slot. Fenrisk said in the chat, actually, it had kind of a feeling like an East-West conference thing. It made it very simple to follow like the progression of certain players, as opposed to having this this gigantic bracket that you have like pages to scroll down and things like that. It was much more concise, and I mean, I think it worked out great. We had a great final, so. Hard to argue with that, right?
I thought it was way easier to follow what was happening in the brackets during the event compared to other events. I mean, of course, it's only 32 players.
Well, it's less people, that helps. It's 32, not over 200. But
yeah. I felt that I could follow stories more of the two individual brackets of all the different players. And kind of, you know, two things that were going to collide at the end, you know, and seeing how they're going to build up on both ends. And then when they slam into each other. And in terms of momentum of the games and who's going to win, who was losing, who was in loser brackets, who was in the winner brackets, it was a great tournament. And MLG's arena system is getting smoother and smoother because they're doing it more and more, or they've done more events. This is their 4th arena, and pretty much everyone that was there had been there already and knew what was expected. And also had some new players there as well, especially from the European scene, which was fun to meet. Cytoplasm's a really fun guy, man. I got to hang out with him for a while. He was. Yeah,
and I was impressed by the European presence there too. Yeah. A lot of guys came over, and a lot of them played really, really well. Even if they didn't get super far in the brackets, in a lot of cases, they showed some really good games.
They did. I'm sure they got a lot more Twitter followers, and a lot more people saw them and their teams. And now when I think of Snoot or Wellmoo or Teleful or Cytoplasm, I know who they are. I know what their faces look like. I know what their voices sound like. I know what their personalities are, more or less, and so I feel more connected to them as players rather than before. Honestly, didn't know that much about them. So I also want to bring up the format of this not being a pay-per-view. This was the first event that was not a pay-per-view for MLG in terms of the arenas. I remember when the first arena was announced, and afterwards, like, not even 2 weeks. I actually don't remember the exact time frame, guys, but it felt pretty soon compared in comparison to when the actual arena was, that they announced the pay-per-view format. And the internet exploded, and people were pissed, and they wanted to just kill Sundance. It was kind of a scary sight to see that many angry people in one congregated place on Reddit and Team Liquid. But there was one thing that Sundance talked about, and I believe tweeted about, and it was the role of a title sponsor, and how this format in pay-per-view was going to be used until maybe a title sponsor moved into the scene and was able to make it free for the viewer. And so when MLG announced that this was going to be a free well, it wasn't going to be a pay-per-view, but it was going to be a free stream in standard definition, but then you pay for the high quality, the HD, a lot of people went, yeah, you know, the pay-per-view model really worked, guys. I mean, it's so good that they're changing it to be free. But this was the plan all along, at least from MLG's business standpoint of, we're going to try this out, and if we get a title sponsor, it's going to change. And Full Sail University became the title sponsor, and it changed.
I mean, and I think, well, I was just going to say, I think that this is definitely the best way to go about it, giving that option for the free, you know, the free viewers. There's a lot of people that aren't willing or able to pay for a weekend of StarCraft. You know, maybe they're busy or something like that, or they're, you know, poor college student eating ramen, you know, something along those lines. But it made sense the first time to run that as a premium stream, right? That it basically directly paid for the players' flights and made the arena happen.
Yeah.
But now that you do have that title sponsor, it just makes so much more sense for everybody involved to give that free stream as an option, because, you know, that sponsor, they want more viewers regardless, and you're going to get more viewers if you offer a free stream. And that option to pay for a better experience is still there. And I was lucky enough that, shout out to Hammer Time, I won his little contest and got the premium stream code from him.
Nice.
And got to watch it in premium the whole weekend. And I think it was honestly worth it. Like, next time if I'm not there, I'd pay for it in premium, just because, like, the ultimate quality and stuff like that, and the extra streams and stuff was fantastic. It's like the perfect, like, weekend experience to have all the different streams up on the screen. You can switch between them. They're all high quality and stuff. But I like that it gives the viewer the option. You know, they can still get involved and they can still watch it if they don't feel like paying for it. But, you know, got the extra few bucks, it's totally worth it to go for the premium stream.
Yeah, and you also had the DVR function of the VODs, which was fantastic. I mean,
yeah, that was really cool. That combined with well, I guess we'll get into it later, but some of the new tech they had there, just like, it gave it such an interesting, like, professional feel, like it was like it was literally a professional sport. You know, like I was going back on my TiVo to watch, like, a replay from, like, an NFL game or something like that, and then there was John Madden with the telestrator at the same time after the game and stuff. It was pretty cool, man. I'm glad they're adding stuff in like that.
Yeah, we'll get into that a little bit later. But seeing Full Sail University being added as a sponsor this year and then them becoming the title sponsor, I felt pretty good about. And, yeah, you know, a lot of different sport arena type events have title sponsors. They fill that role. And it just was funny, in different streams, people would talk about this, and they would make fun of MLG and say, oh, you know, either it's so good that they have to change it. And I would simply say in chat, guys, if you go back and look at the history of when this was first announced, they said this is going to be the format until we can prove to somebody that that can be a title sponsor, and that's what happened. Anyways, enough about that. Business is a funky thing, man. Like, sometimes there's not just one clear answer. You have to look at a bunch of different, like, A, B, C, D, E, F, Gs to try to take, and you try one, and if it doesn't work, you try another one. But if that works, then you go back to A, but then with the A, B subsidiary, and all this other, you know, it's crazy. It's crazy how it works sometimes. That's why I chose to do acting, not business. But it's important to understand business trends, especially in electronics and esports, because you want to make sound decisions in terms of money and business when it comes to something that's growing and exploding so much. Let's shift gears here and talk about the players.
Every time.
Every time. I love it. I love it. So, the qualifiers were based on regions, and this isn't something new, but it's something that I really enjoy, because let's face it, at this moment right now, nobody from the United States probably would have qualified for this matchup if it was just a free-for-all 32 players.
Yeah, I mean, I would say, like, maybe an Illusion would be the only one I would point to.
He did very well, by the way. I got to cast some of his games. I was very impressed by his...
He's really good, man. He's going to be... If he sticks with it, he's going to be something else.
Yeah.
Good young player. But anyway, I digress. Go on.
No, in chat, Keyhunt brought up a very good point. He says, I just hate what happens if Full Sail no longer likes their title sponsor slot. but glad to see them changing it around. I was personally a fan of the pay-per-view stuff, though, so I speak for a minority rather than the majority. The pay-per-view thing, back in the day, I was surprised. The messaging was really bad, and MLG will tell you that as well. Like, they should have, when they announced the arena, should have, right next with it, same press release, it's going to be a pay-per-view. We're going to try this format. But to me, it was another benchmark of esports is making it, because I grew up with pay-per-view events. I grew up with my dad ordering pay-per-view events for boxing, and that was always a big deal, and people would get together, invite friends, have a barbecue, and watch it. And I was thinking, well, if it's becoming pay-per-view events, you know, this is going to hopefully up production value. It's going to be a tighter space with the arena, and maybe that'll turn into the barbecues that I had as a kid. You know, it was something that I could click with in my mind in the past of what pay-per-views were like. But
yeah,
you know, television, man.
Especially with something like that, like you said, business is often complicated and confusing for people. Certain things like that, like a pay-per-view versus a premium, freemium kind of thing, sometimes the decision is made based on what's happening at the time, right? Like pay-per-view made sense at the time.
Yeah.
It makes less sense now, and I think Sundance did a great job of explaining how that works. And as far as what happens if Full Sail no longer likes their title sponsors, I mean, I hope they do. I had never heard of Full Sail until they became a sponsor of MLG, and I know a couple of guys that are actually like going, like Hammer Time, for example, another ref, who people should follow on Twitter.
Hammer Time. MLG Hammer Time, right?
Yeah, MLG Hammer Time, I think, with all one word, I want to say.
Yep,
I'm not sure.
All one word. I'm going to type it in chat because he's a cool guy and you guys should follow him.
But, what the hell was I talking? Oh, yeah. But, I mean, I think that MLG is fortunately at the point where they're stable enough that if they lose that sponsor, or that sponsor decides they don't want to do arenas, things like that, they'll still be able to continue. But
well, they have lost sponsors in the past. Let's look at the 2011 season to 2012, or even 2010. Hot Pockets, Doritos, they're not there anymore.
Yeah, yeah, and those are, you know, big names too. But I keep losing my train of thought.
I'm sorry. I keep halting your train of thought. I keep cutting you off at the tracks, man.
No, it's all right. Well, so yeah, like you said, he wants to see people, you know, people get paid and the business side of MLG to grow, and that is a very important concept, and something that I think people didn't really understand when they were railing against pay-per-view. Like, it's not like Sundance is taking all that money to the bank or anything like that. That stuff is put back into the business.
It's gonna go buy a boat. Yeah.
That stuff's getting put back into MLG, and that's paying for, you know, like, for example, Clutch's salary, or not salary, but Clutch's pay, or, you know, an admin's pay or something like that, or it's helping put new technology at the arenas, or helping the production value grow. So, yeah, it's, I guess, I don't know, I don't have to look at the numbers. I'm not sure what ends up bringing more money in for the weekend. I suspect that the premium versus pay-per-view might end up being better, but it's definitely something to consider. Like, as much as we all want MLG to succeed on, like, passion and stuff like that, you do have to get that business side running and make that consistent. And that's how the scene in general is going to grow too.
Yep, and you can't be flippant with your money either, man. You can't. They gotta lock stuff down, and they gotta see what games bring in numbers and what don't. I mean, look at Halo. Look at the decision MLG made with Halo. Halo was.
That was a rough decision for a lot of people.
Man. MLG is the house that Halo built. So, and there's still flame wars on Facebook when MLG ever, or even YouTube, then when they throw stuff up there, people are like, bring back Halo, but they had to make that business decision of where were the views coming in. StarCraft 2 turned MLG on its head, man. They were not prepared for what happened. And they adjusted, they adapted, and look at them now. But, I'm glad League of Legends is there too. I'm a little bit bummed that King of Fighters is not going to be on the fighting game docket, but they will have Mortal Kombat and Soul Calibur 5. So that's.
I'm excited for that, by the way. The fighting games are really, really fun to watch, especially like I'm starting to get into it, man. Especially after watching
Evo.
Evo.
Oh yeah, Evo was hype.
Wow, that was so cool.
Well, the thing I thought King of Fighters was best at Evo. I thought the series was the best. The finals was the best. I thought it was just amazing. I think it was the first time at Evo.
I'm trying to remember which one. Was that the one?
It was Bala versus.
Yeah, that was my like that made
Cafe
me actually
ID.
like literally want to buy that game, man.
Yeah,
watching what was the Korean guy's name?
Cafe ID something. His team was Cafe ID. I forgot his name. Maybe check
Oh my
and
god,
help
I
me
can't
out.
remember his name.
Wawa Wawa SC, you know, right? You watched it. He's in
Yeah,
here.
well, probably not.
He won too. I thought Bala was so close. He was coming
Yeah.
back. It was so cool. Yeah, that's stuff's awesome. Just they're not watching it at MLG.
Mad Cough. That's his name.
Madcoff.
That guy. Fuck, what was the name of that one character he always started with that had
Oh!
could, like extend its arms? and stuff like that?
Yeah.
That made me
Oh.
want to play that game just to learn that character because it was so badass. Like that dude.
Dude,
that guy
I'm
was
gonna go.
killing it.
I'm gonna go trade in Max Payne 3, and I'm gonna get it for the PS3. Oh, you don't have a PS3. You gotta support fighting games because Sony supports them for MLG, man.
I mean, if you have an extra PS3 later, I'll take
No,
it.
I don't. Sorry. You can come
I'll-
over
well,
and play.
I'll look into
We
it.
got two
Well-
controllers.
Yeah, maybe
Yeah.
that'll have to happen. I'll learn the game with you.
Yeah, it'll be fun. Soul Calibur 5 is a lot of fun. Mortal Kombat's my favorite. It just is.
Mhm.
So we've gone all over the place so far, man. Let's get back to the players here. Like I said, 32 players based on qualifications. Somebody made a post going, America, yeah! And it was like the losers brackets, and it was all the Americans going against each other.
That American advantage.
And I was
right
like, oh, man. It's cool to see Sasquatch making an appearance from Complexity.
yeah,
And,
I'm glad he showed some pretty good games too.
Yeah, he's a nice guy. All the Complexity guys are pretty nice. Enjoyed my time with them. QXC, you know, he likes to slap me around. Just fine. Nah, Kevin's a cool guy. But it was good to have the diversity of players there because of the qualifiers.
Mhm.
And, you know, always hanging out with Grubby's a lot of fun, too. So it's crazy, man. Seeing these players all the time, they're starting to become, you know, it's more than just business acquaintances. It's starting to turn into friendships. Talk more about just the game, talk about life and business and esports and how it's growing and decisions that have to be made and locations and all sorts of things. And it's cool to be on that level because there's a lot more that we can share and kind of help each other with in that regard. And that kind of transfers over from the acting world. The more kind of people I know in the acting business, the more we kind of have each other's back or we think of for different projects that happen, or at least ideally in the acting world. Sometimes it's who you know. But seeing different players there from different countries in a large European group. So funny, man. At this place, Snoot and Cytoplasm were talking about the difference between Norwegian and Swedish, and how there was a phrase you could say in Norwegian, and then you would say it in Swedish, and it would be like the exact same words almost, but in Norwegian you would almost like shout it or sing it. And Cytoplasm was given these different examples, and it was a blast just to listen to. So those guys are a lot of fun, and I'm always impressed by the amount of English they know. But in a lot of those European countries, like English is the language of business. So that's pretty cool. All right, so qualifiers are great. This also allows for more up-and-coming players, like we talked about, Sasquatch and others. America still got demolished. From
really great storylines though develop from that diversity instead of. I mean, you always get a lot of good storylines no matter what. It's StarCraft. There's awesome stories, but when it's like just a Korean-dominated tournament, nothing but Korean players, it's not quite as interesting as if you have like say a Goody who makes top 16 and just beats like incredible players.
Yeah, Goody, the Panzer.
Yeah,
He,
and God, can we just like talk about Goody for a moment?
Yeah, go ahead.
I don't understand Goody at all.
He's a mystery wrapped in an enigma.
He is a mystery. His play, like he's always known for his mech, but he played such solid Protoss or such solid like standard play against Protoss. It looked almost like Thorzane playing because it didn't seem like he was doing a lot. And he's not really known for his hand speed or anything like that, but he just made such solid decisions and beat like a Sase or. He didn't know he lost the series to Sase eventually, but didn't he? I think I can't remember. But he played at least a great first game against him. I don't know how he does it, man. He just like shows up and like has good results against really good players like consistently, but he doesn't really get much credit for being like a top player.
There's a lot of storylines that I missed because I was in the Dr. Pepper room for most of the time.
Just chilling on the couch.
Yeah,
More comfortable than I was at home.
I was mostly casted in a chair with the camera on me with one of the analysts. which is either live games, consolation matches, or replay analysis, or playing with the community. So it was a lot of fun with that, and it's great, but it's kind of unfortunate that I can't follow a lot of the storylines that happen compared to at Pro Circuit events where I'm there watching most of the action on the main stage. Yeah. But with that aside, Goody was excited, especially when I got to talk to him, and he's like, I made top 16, and we were excited for him. And very good to see that. And I remember him being a big storyline, headline, that he took out MMA at the last arena.
Mm-hmm.
So
MMA was shocked about that too, man.
I think Slayers was shocked about that. A lot of people were shocked about that. I could go places with that right now, but I won't with MMA. I wish him the best with whatever's going on.
Mm-hmm.
So, the casters. Let's talk about this. Not as many casters this time, 4 out of 5. MLG keeps not putting me on the press release. I don't know if they have like an axe to grind against me. That I don't have to be considered a caster, but like host as well for Dr. Pepper, Clutch, and I casted like over 7 matches, man. That I hope they can bottom because they were fun.
And there were, see, the Dr. Pepper stream. Wow, stream was free, right? That was one of the free
It was
ones?
a freemium stream freemium. Yes, it was. It was free.
So a lot of people probably saw you cast more than even some of the casters that were there.
Maybe, man. Because we would tweet out who was going to be up next. We did a lot of them. I'm trying to think of who we had.
I know you did a bunch of Illusion games.
Yeah, we did a couple of his. We did some, because I kind of mix them up with the replay analysis of different games that we did and then the live games. But, hey, right. Guess what? All the VODs, MLG's got them. So it was great. It was cool, man. Like, I casted at NESL, and now I casted at MLG. Get to add that to my resume. It's pretty sweet.
Making moves.
That's right, dude. And I also have to observe those games as well. And being an observer is very tough, just like being a caster.
Yep, I think a lot of people found out how tough it is to actually observe a professional tournament. It is a serious, and honestly, probably should be like a full-time job. Like Adabisi is an observer, for example.
Yep.
And that's the way you have to do it. You have to just be an observer, basically. Like it's like playing. It's like playing, man. You almost have to be a professional player, like
yep.
a professional caliber player, to do a really, really good job observing. And people, I don't know, people rag on observers a lot when maybe they shouldn't, because they don't understand how hard that actually is to do.
It baffles my mind if anybody rags on observers or a company says, oh, we don't understand what that is, we don't need it. We'll have the casters observe. Do you have the football commentators video switch and move the camera on the game? No. But you know what? Let's try it and see what kind of cluster F that's going to be when you have them trying to commentate on the game and catch all sorts of the action. Yes, it was kind of a standard back in the day, but guess what, guys? We take a step forward in production or nobody's going to watch us.
For sure, man. And it makes us, like, a lot of what Reddit said was, a lot of what people said on Reddit, I won't say the Reddit said, was pretty, like, wrong and thick-headed about the obsing, but there were a couple posts that were, like, spot on, especially comparing the obs to Star Trail Legend, who does such a fantastic job for GOM TV. For GOM, Legend is listed as the director of the stream, I think, right? Not because he's literally the director of the stream, but because the observer directs the action. The observer literally is telling the story of the game with his camera movement, even with his mouse movement. If you pay a lot of attention to GSL games, like observer or Legend, as an observer, will tell you what to look at with his mouse, with his camera, things like that, and it makes a huge difference. Like, you can just, the quality of the game and what you can get out of a game when you have a really good observer like an Adabisi or a Legend, it just makes a huge difference. So that's something that, like, Brood War has had right for a long time. They've had professional map makers and professional observers, and those are two things that we will need to keep moving forward with as far as production value goes in StarCraft 2.
Yep. Just like they need a host, man. Just like these.
Just like you need a host.
Just like you need a host. Just like you need a host. And after MLG started to cement that with me, and other leagues started to do the same thing, choosing dual female hosts or whatever, you got to have hosts. You have to have people that are able to engage the crowd and use the flexibility of the stage and speak with the players and do more than just from the caster's desk. Let the casters focus on casting. Like with
it's hard enough to do as is, man.
Exactly. With Too Good and In Control in the upcoming Asus ROG, with them hosting and then the casters, I want to see the format that they do it in, because to fill time, it's going to be James and Jeff. It's going to be Too Good and In Control. They're not going to have to use the casters to fill time. The casters just focus on casting. So it's kind of industry standards of television for so many years. Guys, it's not just like magical fairy dust and it all works. That's been worked out for like the last 50+ years of how to properly do television and live broadcasting. And now those standards and practices should be used to an extent on the internet. When you have certain positions, and yes, we're not there yet money-wise, guys, I know that, but when you want to have really professional productions that people can put on the same bench as television sports broadcasting, you have to have the same tools and the same talent. Enough ranting on that right now, but
it's definitely something they need, just like a really good closing ceremony. But we'll get there, right?
We're gonna get there, man. We're gonna get there. I'm gonna have confetti in my frickin' suitcase at every event I go to now, but we're gonna get there. All right. Well, in terms of the casters, having the 5 casters there, I thought they did a great job. Again, working with these gentlemen who have been doing this for a long time now and are very established in the scene. Great to work with. They're there to work. They're there to have fun, and they're there to tell an incredible story of StarCraft 2 action. So I thought they did a great job. And
and honestly, the way they rotated and everything too kept everything fresh. And just from a spectator perspective, it was some of the best casting I've seen overall over the course of an event. Especially major props to Apollo, who every time I see him cast just impresses me more and more.
Apollo is a cool guy. Cool guy. We appreciate the observers that were there, but Adebisi was missed, and people could tell a difference between the level of Adebisi is compared to the level of the observer that we had is, and that just comes with experience, man. It comes with experience.
It's just practice. Adebisi's been doing it for a while now.
Yeah,
that's why he's so good at it. Same with Legend.
That's right.
Same with the Pro League guys and everything.
Yep, but yeah, and that was the biggest complaint, but you know, observing is tough, and I feel that the observer that we had there felt welcome, and he did a good job, all things considered. Let's go ahead and move on to the analysts. So this format was not new in terms of MLG bringing on analysts. It was new in who they chose. They did bring back Axlav, who I've worked with for 3 arenas, and he's great. You know, everybody was like, "Oh, I'm so impressed with his analyst of the games." Like, guys, he's been doing this for 3 arenas, so that's what he does with me on the Dr. Pepper stream. If you would watch the Dr. Pepper stream,
it's because of the hair and the beard now.
Yeah,
man.
I know.
That's what did it. That's what brought it. It's like movie star status now, man.
He got a makeover, bro. It was all he needed was a dinner jacket and a curved pipe, and it would have been perfect. But this is the type of things he was doing with me, watching replays and going over these specific types of engagements and what went wrong and build orders and whatnot on the Dr. Pepper stream. And so it's been a blast working with him, and I'm so glad he got a lot more time on the main stream. And he's been doing that on the main stream as well. They brought in the different analysts, but we also had Ghost User and Trimaster from Complexity. And they were fun to have as well. They're also fun to play the community with. Oh, so we were doing a 2v2, and Ghost User and I were on the same team, and we lost twice. First one, it was a tough loss. Second one, I chose a bad map. It actually had an opening in the back that I had no idea existed. It was rocks. And so all of a sudden, a bunch of Protoss units are in my base from out of nowhere. And I get demolished, and we're not able to come back. And they're like making phoenixes everywhere and just messing with us. And I was getting pissed. So we lost that. And later on, I was like, all right, Ghost User, we got to redeem ourselves, man. I'm going to let you choose the map. And we won. And it was awesome. And then later on, we went head-to-head. And he and his teammate worker rushed me. So I'm making stuff, and he goes, you know, Clutch, we got a secret plan we're working on. I was like, cool, man, that's cool. I'm gonna work on something with my teammate. And all of a sudden, freaking workers are in my base, man, and assaulting all my stuff. I'm trying to hold them back and attack back and build a barracks and whatnot. It just didn't work, so I lifted up my base and put it in a different section of where my teammate was, and was mining from there. And then Ghost User dropped a tank on the higher ground and started siege tanking my stuff, so I had to move back to my original base. This same time, my teammate is just working super awesome macro right now and trying to hold off. And then Ghost User's got drops and whatnot, and his teammates try to get in, and we fight back, and we win, son. And after I win, I'm like, yeah, we did it. And all the Korean players just start clapping for me that were in the lounge. It's like, yeah, yes, Team Pult. It was awesome, man. It was a good time. But Ghost User was a lot of fun to play 2v2s along with Trimaster. And I don't think I played any 2v2s with Axlav. He was pretty busy on the mainstream, but we did do some replay analysis. But I want to thank the community for playing with us. Some people won some cool prizes for winning, or just being cool. just for being cool, you won prizes. No,
just for being awesome community.
Just for being awesome. They had giveaways on the Twitter, which was at MLG All Access, and people could answer trivia questions or whatnot. Also, guys, I gotta plug the Dr. Pepper Ultimate Fan Experience. Up until August 6th, Dr. Pepper is having the giveaway once again. They did it for the Winter Championship. They are going to do it. They did it for the Spring Championship, which I got to meet the winners. I met the winners of the winter one as well. And they're doing it again for the Summer Championship. Until August 6th, go to facebook.com/MLGPro, MLGPRO, and click the Dr. Pepper Ultimate Fan Experience tab. There are instructions on how to upload a video. The video should be you proving to the world that you are the ultimate MLG and Dr. Pepper fan. Throw it up there and tell all your friends, because there's a voting system, and out of the top 5 voted videos, 2 will be chosen, flown to the Summer Championship in Raleigh, North Carolina, receive VIP treatment. You get everything's paid for, hotel, flight. You'll skip the lines for the Dr. Pepper signings, backstage tour, great seats. It'll be a great time. So tell your friends. Wigan, tell our friends, man, they should submit. I have no control over who wins, but it's a great way to go to one of these events, guys. I mean, all expense paid trip, VIP treatment. Why not? So go do it. MLG are great events. So facebook.com/MLGPRO, Dr. Pepper Ultimate Fan Experience. Got used to plugging that all weekend, so I had it memorized. So, Trimaster Ghost User spoke about them. Let's move on, my friend, and talk about touch screens. I know we're kind of rolling through this fast, but we're going to take a break after we talk about the matches and then have some calls. Some people what they thought about the arena. So the touchscreen, man, what was your thoughts on that?
It was great, man. It added so much to the analysis afterwards, and it just, like, even if it was barely used, it just looked good. Like, it looked right in the situation, and people ended up using it like very well, especially some of the moments with the telestrator on there to sort of show how the micro should have gone in a fight. I think was some of the most interesting analysis, especially when Axlav was up there, of the whole event. Like, it ended up, I was a little bit skeptical about how useful it would be when I first saw it, but like right off the bat, I think it was absolutely worth it. Like, it added so much to the event. Like I said earlier, it literally made it feel like I was watching like an NFL game where, you know, you've got like Madden or Al Michaels or somebody like drawing up plays and stuff on the
for sure, if he just went down to the end zone at this time, he could have totally done that. Bam! Yeah, John Madden, dude.
Force field at the linebacker. Yeah, no, so yeah, I'm keeping it every event. Hell, bring it along to Raleigh, man. That thing was awesome.
Well, I got to see Axlav towards the end do an amazing replay analysis of this Terran force moving up the ramp and how he showed where they were going, and he circled the front force and the back force, and he circled again in red where there should have been a gap in case of storms and some other things that the Protoss had. It blew my mind, and it was so impactful having the different colors and having the illustration to understand what he was saying compared to just looking at the exact same screen without the illustrations. And yes, as you brought up the telestrators in football back in the day, I I don't think that TV's ever going to leave now, man. I mean, it's going to be part of the production for now on. And
it definitely should be.
I got to mess with it a little bit. I think there needs to be some color correction with the TV or with the camera to make it pop out. It seemed a little dark. Or just tilt it a little bit. But other than that, it's going to be fantastic. Yeah. But it was a nice little surprise when I showed up. I even tweeted, like, guys, there's some really cool production surprises you're going to see this weekend, and a lot of people loved it. And, you know,
I'm glad it turned out to not be like a gimmick or anything like that.
Exactly.
It was just something that genuinely added content. You know, it added something important to the casting.
And the casters and the analysts had Thursday to mess with it, and then Friday to mess with it. That was it. They didn't get a classroom on how to work it, but they were able to experiment a little bit more, maybe between, well, not between matches, but during, before and after we were live. But next time when they come, they'll even be more experienced with it. But yeah, Axelad was like the master touchscreen user.
Yeah, he really shined with that, man. He looked like that's what he meant, like he was meant to do. he really kind of, and honestly, kind of stole the show with that. With his analysis, especially with that touchscreen.
Is there anything more specific that the touchscreen adds that traditional commentary doesn't, or traditional analysis doesn't?
It's not only just the touchscreen, but just the idea of the replay analysis. Like at that thing, it lets it during the course of a cast. It's very you can't just like slow time down and get into the real nitty gritty of okay, he needs to move this way, go here, do this to make this fight work in this situation. But that's such a huge deal over the course of a game. But with that replay analysis, you get to, not only do you get to slow it down and go into exactly how it should work, but you get to show how it would work.
Yeah.
And let's see, who was it? Oh yeah, Wawa said it kind of like helps fix the language barrier a little bit. Like you really don't have to. I mean, you could look at that and not speak English and probably be able to figure out what they were saying, or even for people that don't have a very strong understanding of the game, like they're new to it, just something like that helps pull people in and really makes it easier to understand exactly what is supposed to happen, what needs to happen, what should have happened.
Yeah, I feel the same way, man. It added illustration to vocabulary, and that helps everybody.
The more visual, I mean, we play a video game, so the more visual you can make something to help people, to help add to casting, add to the entertainment value, the better.
Yeah. All right, so let's move on to the last topic here. Whoa, that is a giant bug on my wall.
Go to commercial, take care of that beast.
That is huge. No, man, I'm gonna live on the edge. I'm gonna keep going live here.
So brave.
I was like, what is it at? It's about this big, guys. No joke. About that big. I don't know what it is. I think it might be a cockroach, which is disgusting. But we're going to keep going.
Well, before you jump into another topic, just if you want to grab this question real quick from the chat.
Sure.
Zaltius was asking if the players and casters were happy with like the little break they got because of the analysis. And I guess that's something that you could maybe speak to because you were there. I don't know if it didn't seem like there was too much extra downtime between games, in all honesty, because of it. It was just, instead of the casters sitting there and just like talking about whatever to fill the time. That's what filled the time. But I don't know. You were there. Can you speak to that a little bit?
Yeah. Sorry, man. I'm just like seeing if I need to kill this thing or try to get it out of my room. It's huge.
Get your camera. Show people the.
All right. Hold on. Let me grab it.
Adabisi saying that that the casters would like it, the players would hate it, and that.
It's already gone.
It's already gone.
It's behind my TV, crawling down towards my feet. Awesome. Sorry.
Well, I was going to say that's what I would guess. It sort of speaks to my experience adminning players. Players don't like to have their sort of flow messed up by having a break, something like that. Like, on the main stage or on a broadcasted station, you have to take a break for commercial, something like that. Generally, that doesn't sit as well with players. But the casters probably love that time just to collect their thoughts, collect their breath, and let their voice relax for a little bit, because they are casting for a very long time.
Yeah, take a break, grab some water. Well, and they also have the commercial break as well.
Mm-hmm.
I think it gives a good pace. It lets the players just decompress from that match. Sometimes if you go too long, though, like, players will get anxious. Anybody can get anxious if it goes too long, if they know they're expecting something. But I feel it was a good tempo. It was a good pace. It was a good pace. All right. Stefano versus Ryung, who I kept calling Ryung because of Ryu from Street Fighter.
Oh, man.
That series was incredible, especially with Stefano's comeback. And that's one of the games that pops out the most to me in terms of storylines.
Yeah, I went out of my, normally I'm not a huge fan of Zerg players, but I went out of my way to watch almost every Stefano game because, man, he was playing just magically over the course of that arena. Like, he would make some questionable decisions early, kind of like Teja's sort of known for, and get himself into a bad spot and then just win with the most ridiculous, like, out of the most ridiculous situation. Like, guy's got like 4 Broodlords against like 100 extra supply of like Terran stuff or something like that, and just like wins anyway. It's just like, what the hell is going on? How does Stefano do it? He put on a show.
I don't know. Fungals?
I guess.
Kind of seeing the same thing in MLG. I forget who his opponent was, but Dustin Browder was going nuts watching that. Was it Stefano MKP?
I think that was the one with the like picture.
Yeah, because of the fungals, great fungals.
Yeah, goddamn fungals.
Stefano played.
Stefano Oz. That was
Stefano Oz. Okay. The crowd reaction in the Dr. Pepper room, we were going nuts watching that series, and I was rooting for Stefano, man. He did 4-0 Alicia. It's at my feet! It's at my feet! Hold on. It's attacking me! You
It's a Zergling.
jerk. He is more scared than I am. Alright, I'm good. I try not to kill bugs unless absolutely necessary. When I mean absolutely necessary, they try to go for me. And I think he...
Well, then it's life and death, right?
Yeah,
It's either
right.
you or that bug. You gotta take him out, show him who's boss.
Where'd he go? Oh, there he is. Damn, I'm gonna try to... I want to show you guys how big this thing is. Anyway, it's going from my wallet. It's going from my wallet. It was funny because I looked down. It's like, there you are! I knew it! The gamer sense. Oh, this is a great episode. Alright.
That's Star Sense.
Yeah.
Just pretend that bug is the Zerg players you're against, and you'll never run into Burrowed Banelings
Dude,
again.
it was a scouting Zergling, man. And it got away. Got away with all its health. Tasia versus Alicia, good series. I thought Alicia, second place once again.
Poor Alicia.
The new Kong Wigan.
I don't know. Maybe if it keeps happening, give it maybe one more tournament. He comes in second to somebody.
Yeah.
Maybe we'll call it that. How many is that now for him? How many second places recently? Is it like
That's
3?
That's his third. Yeah, in a row.
Third.
In a row of events he's attended.
Pretty rough.
Yeah.
Pretty rough. Marine King got over it though, so hopefully Alicia can. That guy is kind of due, man. He is some sick TVP or PVT rather.
Tubby Furcott says Alicia always a bridesmaid, never a bride.
Yeah.
He took it well.
Yeah.
It was funny talking to him because he calls himself Lucky Boy. Because obviously with my limited Korean, his limited English, we try to communicate a little bit. But he was saying that if him and I teamed up, that he would no longer be in second place, he'd be in first place. And I was like, yeah, man, yeah.
Is that because you'd win or because you'd be in second place?
No, because I'd be in second place probably. Be holding him back. He takes it well, and I think he's going to break out of it. Mine has psyched him out. Tasia's play was really good. Very good Terran player. He was all over the place dropping. And
Tasia's really turned it up, man. Top tier Terran now.
Yeah.
Like, put him up against almost basically any other Terran out there. He's the only one that can kill Zergs, it seems. Even though he only played one of them for the course of the arena.
I had a really good interview with Grubby, and we got to talk about the difference of casting and playing, and when you take time off to be a caster compared to practicing for an event. And I believe in this mentality of what he brought up, is that sometimes the teacher is the best learner. And in terms of being able to cast games and say what's going on, and then have an analyst like TriMaster or Axelab or Ghost User say, okay, this is what's happening, this is why this is happening, they're probably going to do this. And to explain that to the viewers, I learned a lot more of kind of specific timings and build orders. I mean, not to the point that I can just say it right now, memorize, but conceptually, there's a lot more things of these individual players and races that I understood, which is really cool. And I feel that when you're in a position where you have to explain a lot of these things to people, you have to explain Taja's playstyle against Alicia, how Alicia's in second place against Zerg, but he does a little bit better against Terran, really makes people understand the game better. And I have a lot of appreciation that people are for people that have been casting for such a long time, and how in-depth how much in-depth knowledge they have of the game. And even with hosting, having the knowledge I have of the different players and storylines and backgrounds compared to what I knew 2 years ago, and how much it's evolved in the last 2 years. It's really cool, man. It's really cool.
Yeah.
So I got to delve into the casting world this last week for these 2 different events, and I just had a lot more appreciation for people that cast, and a lot more appreciation for the game and the players. It's awesome. I mean, of course, I've had a lot. I got interviewed by Hotbid, which was fun. That was a good interview.
That guy's a card, man.
He is. He's cool. But even getting to learn more about the people that work to make esports happen, you know, the team managers, the website managers, and how there's similarities to our different backgrounds and stories, you know, how we explain things to our parents compared to what we did at school and how we're in esports. So it's awesome, man. It's cool that we're coming into 2 years of StarCraft 2 and how much it's grown in the last 2 years. I mean, you and I going to an event that you competed in, you lost a show, and we met some key people, and it was tough, man. It was tough. We were what team were we? Kung Fu Treachery was our team. Kung Fu Treachery.
I'm up team for the event.
Yeah. I've moved on to Team Pole. Your team Mohawk. So.
Team Mohawk. All right, now, man. Might have some job interviews or something coming up.
Yeah.
So gotta have a remotely presentable image for myself.
All right. Any other storylines that we need to talk about of the players that you were able to see from home?
Storylines. Well, we already mentioned Goody. I think that was pretty big. Let me just look at the overall results. I feel like we're missing somebody that was impressive. Oh, Oz was really impressive until he ran into Alicia.
Yeah.
That guy's been playing really well lately too, Oz. So
first on those
look out for him.
team kill. That sucked, but
yeah,
that's what happens.
It's always a shame. No, I think that's it, man.
Okay. Cool. Well, guys, if you want more in-depth analysis of the games, watch the VODs at MLG. You know, they did the best job. So we just want to kind of cover the event in general. But this is what's going to happen now. We want to get your guys' thoughts. A lot of you maybe checked out an arena for the first time because this was not a pay-per-view. It was open to the public. So we're going to take a quick commercial break. When we come back, we're going to take some phone calls. I might try to catch this bug and show you guys what it looks like on the screen, because it could, like, fill up the screen. It's huge. We come back, more shifting gears. Stay tuned, guys. Alright guys, welcome back to Shifting Gears. I'm your host Clutch. Joining me is Wiggin. We just did a pretty much full-on rundown recap of the MLG. I don't know why I went to like some weird Texas accent. Full-on rundown recap. I gotta move out of the South, Wiggin. What's of the MLG Summer Arena. And now the phones are open. Feel free to call in.
Yep, call in, talk about the arena, or I guess whatever the hell you want, really.
Yeah, man.
Just open phones, ask Clutch anything you want, or myself,
yep.
or just.
We're not gonna talk about spoilers of Batman.
I want to though.
Wiggin, you want to talk about that next week with Matt? Or you want to wait a week after?
Whenever you want to do it, I'm in.
Okay. Because I don't know if I want to wait another week in case some people were going to go see it, but then they decided not to because of the tragedy of Colorado and wanted to wait. By the way...
You see that Christian Bale went to...
He did, man. He did. Didn't announce it on Twitter or anything, just went. Went. So good guy, Christian Bale. Thanks for doing that, man. That's... I don't have any words to say except what's already been said by so many people. Thoughts and prayers, such a tragedy.
Mm-hmm.
But I feel that Warner Brothers is doing the right thing, and Christopher Nolan's doing the right thing in terms of being involved and giving money to the charity to help the victims.
Yep.
Yeah. It was terrible. All right. So
you excited for a week of people blaming video games and guns and stuff?
It's already started.
Yeah.
It's already started.
Anyway. So, on a much lighter. Open phones.
Open phones.
Got anybody?
I got the real Dak. Can't talk, but he sent something in. Let me read it here. Can't talk about the arena because I was away last week, but I wanted to ask y'all about how new events, shows, personalities can get traction in esports, with people sometimes referring to esports as an old boys club, and with Reddit downvoting anything not already established. That's a good question.
That's tough, man, because we're like in that situation, right? We're trying to get ourselves established, get out there. You've been a tad bit more successful because you get to be on camera than I have, but but yeah, and how do you get it? I mean, in honesty, I'll say what I've seen Clutch that Clutch has been doing. It's just keep working at it. Like Josh started making videos. Was it actually before the StarCraft 2 beta, or was it just when the StarCraft 2 beta started or something? When you started your YouTube stuff?
It was after the beta had started, but it was the countdown to the release of StarCraft 2.
That's right. And he that's when he started doing what eventually became Shifting Gears. He started all the way back then, and even though that at first no one was watching it, he just kept working at it, and that's a big part. That's how you get started. Like, you have to have that body of content out there that you can show that people can come and look at, and become a fan or whatever. And honestly, I think persistence is the biggest part of it. And of course, there has to be something there. There has to be a reason that people want to watch you. Be it you're entertaining for whatever reason, or you just bring good content. Like, you have to bring something to the table. So if you just have the persistence and you bring something to the table that people are gonna want, I think it'll happen. It'll happen naturally, man. You'll get there. People will come watch your stuff if it's worth watching and if you're persistent about it.
Yeah. Well, let's get more specific here. Real Dak hosts a show called Behind the Screens. It's a great show. It's a show that they interview people from all walks of life when it comes to esports, and they delve deep into who this person is. Now, Behind the Screens came out before Real Talk with JP. Now JP has Real Talk, and it's pretty much the same format as Behind the Screens. And what's funny is Behind the Screens even talks about how it's like the Inside the Actors Studio, and JP says in his description this show is like the Inside Actors Studio but with less old people. So it's the same idea. And why is it that JP show is more popular than Dak's show, which I think Dak's show is a fantastic show, and you guys should check it out. It's called Behind the Screens. He has a co-host, Anna Prosser, who, if you don't know who Anna Prosser is, she is a girl that has been involved in esports for a while. She is part of Team EG, and she is also Jeff In Control Robertson's fiance. She has hosted for IPL. She has done interviews when Kingston HyperX sends her out there. She's been involved in the scene for a long time. And because she is good and does good content, she was added as a co-host, added as a co-host because of her interviewing skills, not because she was just eye-candying something to look at. Some girls that want to get involved in gaming, and I'm gonna talk a little bit more about this. Some girls that want to get involved in gaming do it because they want popularity, and they do it because they have assets. And if you guys know what I mean, all right? Is that the right mentality to have when it coming to gaming? Yes, because they want to be popular, and guys are going to go to that. Is that fair to everybody else? No, it's not. It's not fair. It's not fair that I could be replaced as a host, as I work my butt off all the time, by a pretty girl that doesn't play the game. But people try to get numbers. They want to have numbers and they want turnaround. But when you can provide a product that people are loyal to, and you make something that's unforgettable, not because of how you look, not because of who you know, but that you create something memorable because of your talent, because of that passion, that fire inside you. That's how you get recognized. And sometimes it takes a long, long time, years of persistence even, for people to finally recognize it. So.
I mean, part of the reason that people consider like StarCraft an old boys club, the reason it's an old boys club is because those guys were doing it for years and years and years before they blew up. Like, if you want to look at a guy who's been working his ass off for Lord knows how long, look at DJ Wheat. Like, he's a big name now, but he has been working at it for incredibly long. And that's, in honesty, like, it is easier to come out with something and get views and stuff like that. For a guy that's already established, like a JP or something like that. But there is room for new faces. Like, just look at Clutch, for example. And you just, like, it really is just like you have to like put your nose to the grinder and go for it and get that content out there, and it'll slowly build up and slowly build up and slowly build up. And I think somebody mentioned YouTube earlier. I think YouTube's great for that. Like, I probably spend more time watching YouTube videos than I do TV nowadays, like with various subscriptions. Like, I don't know if anyone's ever heard of the Yogscast, stuff like that. I think that's a great way to get yourself out there and put content out. And it's very easily accessible too, so that's pretty nice.
Now, I wanna be clear when it comes to attractive females. I want to be clear about this.
Make sure there's no foot in mouth thing.
Yeah, exactly, exactly. Now, I want to be clear because there is, and this is a comment in a response to Kennigan's blog about how to properly use sex to sell something. There are many times that I have been watching TV or watching something on the internet, I see a very attractive girl, and I'm hooked into the product because of it. It's smart marketing. That's just the name of the game, guys. It's human nature. And so if you have a female that's involved in any kind of broadcasting, if you put them in a role to where they have that sex appeal and they're in their element, then it works. If you use that sex appeal and try to put it into an element where that person or that role needs to be somebody who understands the product, who plays the product, or drives the product, or uses the product, and they don't, it's going to come off phony and awkward. So there is a proper place to use attractive females that don't play the game, that don't use the product, because it's a bait and switch. So I agree with Kennigan on that. I don't like it when people that have been working very hard or have gotten college degrees to do something in a realm and that people think can be easily replaced by someone who's good looking and doesn't have any hosting experience or doesn't have any game experience. I like Lauren Elise. She is really cool. I think she did a great job at NASL, and I think that they used her in the best way possible. But Lindsay Sporer was not used in the best way possible. They put her in a situation where she didn't know the game, she didn't play the game, and she was asked to interview the players. That's not properly using somebody or somebody's talent. I know I went off into a little tangent about this, guys, but I'm trying to give you a little bit better perspective from my end and how hard I have to work or I've had to work in the past to get where I am right now. And I want to relay this to everybody that's trying to still break into esports. It's a tough road. It's limited talent-wise. As far as casters, I don't think any more casters are going to be added to StarCraft 2. Wait until Heart of the Swarm comes out and start making content on YouTube like crazy about Heart of the Swarm. Talk about the new units. Talk about different strategies. Talk about what works and what doesn't. Analyze things that happened in the past and now how the new units have changed that. You have to find a way, timing-wise, to break into the scene, because timing's important as well. So, if you want to get into casting, wait till Heart of the Swarm. If you want to get into hosting...
Fuck you, that's my job.
Well, I don't know, like, you can't really practice hosting anywhere. You can't practice hosting in your room. You can host, I don't know, a talent show or something in a local bar or something if you want experience that way. My experience came from acting and how to be on stage, and there have been times where I've had to host things or kind of take control of a scenario on stage for fun and whatnot. So that's where my background comes from in that regards, guys. And I've had some people like, oh, I want to host events, I want to do that. It's like, that's great, but I've been acting since I was 5. How much stage experience do you have? Oh, well, none. Well, I mean, you have to start somewhere. Start now, man.
And bear in mind, like, as hard as, like, you look at Josh talking about how hard he works, he's still not there yet, right? Like, he's still working his ass off. Not, you know, most of, like, we're not getting paid for this, for example. We're still volunteering for most of our time involving esports, man. It really does it takes effort, it takes a lot of time, and it's a very rare thing where somebody just comes out of nowhere and blows up like a Destiny, for example.
Yeah,
it's
but people want that success. They want to emulate that success. They want the same thing, and it's something I get so much because it's the same in the acting world, man. Right time, right place, and knowing the right people. That's sometimes what it is as well. You could be the most talented guy in the world, but if you're not spotted, if you're not seen by people that are already in the infrastructure, they're already in the place that gives them power to say yay or nay to hire you, it's going to be up to them, man. And frankly, if you go to an audition, you can nail the audition, but if you remind them too much of their cousin who they hate, you're not going to get it. It could be something that fickle and that easy.
Sure.
Yep. So go invent something, patent it, get $1 billion, and live your life, maybe. I don't. There's so many. Everybody's trying to get success in this world, man. It's part of our human lives here. But good luck. Good luck.
Just esports is like anything else, man. It takes a lot of time. It takes a lot of time and effort.
I love all my cousins, by the way. Nobody misquotes me. Well, we're gonna get Dak in here because he hosts Behind the Screens. And he has some comments about that, so why not just go to the source? So I'm going to add him to the conference call here.
Let's get Dak.
It's going to screw up Skype, guys. I apologize for that.
People are going to miss my beautiful face.
I know, Wigan. Hey, Dak. Hey, guys. Good to have you on the show, man. How's it going?
It's going great. How are you two?
We're good. We're good.
Pretty good. Pretty good. Nice blazer.
Well, thank you. I don't think that... There's so many people that say that they've never seen me without one. But
well, I guess if I think about it, it's
yeah. Anyway, good to see you guys. I wanted to talk momentarily about what you were saying about Real Talk and Behind the Screens and how they came out, I don't know, 10 weeks apart. And I spent a lot of time thinking about why JP's show obviously got thousands more views than mine. And that's obvious. It's JP. I think that
yeah.
I mean, he's a well-known figure, and that's good. And I'm really glad that Real Talk came out because, well, when Real Talk first came out, I remember that first day I was just furious because I watched In Control's interview, and the first 5 questions were pretty much verbatim the questions that we had asked in Behind the Screens. But what I realized was, this is fantastic. It requires Behind the Screens to innovate, to be better And that's what competition and capitalism is all about. Now, again, like you guys were saying, y'all aren't getting paid for shifting gears, and I'm not getting paid for behind the screens. I am plenty in the red on that. But I just think that what it's done is Anna and I have taken like a month off, and we're restructuring, making the show into pretty much a legit TV show. And I hate using the word legit, so I'm going to rephrase legitimate TV show. Credits and everything. And I don't know, I just think that I would love to, I just want to go on the record and say that I'm really glad that JP, made this into a competitive, he didn't make it into a competitive thing. My belief in making behind the screens as good as it can be because we were now in competition with someone. I don't know, I'm ranting. That's it.
Okay. Well, there's room for both. There's so many people out there. JP with his schedule, look at State of the Game. They're still trying to figure out what's going to happen with that show. Well, he knows what's going to happen with the show, just it's in a restructuring phase right now. And with the power of XSplit and streaming, so much content has come out. But what's going to stick? Half the fight to stick is going to be consistency. And maybe even having to reinvent what you do or to be inspired by other things, even if it's competition by what you do. I've enjoyed both shows. I'll watch both shows. There's a lot I learned about Mr. Bitter I never knew. There's so much I learned about Tasteless I didn't know in a recent episode. And I'd rather know those things now, inside or outside of StarCraft 2, than for waiting for episode 55 from Real Talk with JP, which will happen next year.
Well, I just know that so for viewers, you guys right now, Day 9 is on, right? And so competition for viewers is with everyone. And it's, finding time slots is impossible right now where there isn't someone streaming, some really big name person, is really pretty much impossible. And so when I asked the original question about breaking into esports, one of the things that I was thinking about was the Southeastern Star League, which came out, I think, was today their first broadcast. I can't really remember. But it's a semi-pro StarCraft league. And even things like that, which you don't need to be... That is a niche thing. There's... Drogoth is doing something up in the Northeast, and I can't remember what it's called. I think it's called just the semi-pro league. But, things like that, they don't get traction on Reddit. They don't get traction on Team Liquid, and so they can't, even though people would be, I think, looking for new blood and trying to find really good new players, I don't understand why that in particular doesn't get views. I understand why I don't get views. No one knows who I am, but I don't know.
Well, there's definitely in excess of content right now. The beautiful thing about streaming, or how streaming has grown so much and become so much part of the scene, it's blown up. You get players that can support themselves on streaming, but it's also made it so there's anybody can stream, right? So there's just this massive influx of content, and it's very hard to find the diamonds in the rough. And I think a big part of that is the power that Team Liquid has for influencing what people view, right? If you have something on the Team Liquid calendar, for example, or their event list, you're going to get a shitload more viewers. When we had Shifting Gears on for interviewing Sheth, for example, we had over 400 people watching, right?
Yeah.
And I was and that was not
we've
unusual.
had over 1,000 people before.
Yeah, over 1,000. But today it's not on the calendar. Day 9 is. We have 30, right? So there's this situation where you have this massive amount of content out there available, and you have basically one place where the majority of people look to see what's on, right? And Team Liquid does a great job, but they definitely intentionally cater towards the established shows and things like that. And that makes sense because they don't want this ridiculous mess that's useless of like a programming like list, right?
Exactly.
What's going on. So it makes sense that they cater to these shows, but that's also how people find new content. So they're just going to see that, oh, Daynon's on again now at this slot, or oh, there's State of the Game's on today at their normal slot. So it is generally difficult for like a lesser known person or a starting off show to let the greater community know that it's happening, right?
Well, I just, while I'm here, I want to say to everyone that's watching, when you're on Reddit, go there, go to the our StarCraft new, and find something and upvote it. Don't just go and downvote everything on new, because that's what everyone does, and that's...
You're applying logic to Reddit.
Yeah, I know.
It's not going to work out.
Yeah, Dak, it's kind of tough having to appeal to an internet audience that controls kind of the distribution of your show marketing-wise. It's really tough. And I feel that it's a moral responsibility for people that are already established in the scene to highlight new content or up-and-coming tournaments or anything that's worthwhile for people to check out. And I'll be real here. I think that State of the Game should be part of that moral responsibility to highlight new things that are happening, new tournaments, up-and-coming things that people haven't seen yet, to give a state of the game. This is what's happening. These are the minor leagues. This is not being shown. And I list State of the Game because that is the highest numbers of a show for StarCraft 2, period. It is. Could DJ Weed on One More Game TV do that? Sure, he could, but everybody's still trying to make either a living or more money out of what they're doing. Right. And there's also that competitive flash in their minds of, should I talk about this? Would it take away stream numbers from me? But I feel personally, as my popularity continues to grow, I want to retweet about the New England StarCraft League. I want to retweet about Barcraft Boston. I want to retweet about these things because I want more people to know about it that they don't know. Wigan bringing up Team Liquid, we're still not featured on Team Liquid. Do I bug them about being featured? No, I don't. I brought it up maybe once a year ago.
Should bug them more.
Half a year ago. I think I might hear pretty soon because I feel that with my ability to be recognized on camera at these major events and more people watch the show, I can highlight things that are happening either within esports, with StarCraft 2, shifting gears is not just about StarCraft 2 or esports, it's about all sorts of things. We just cover a lot of esports because we're involved. But I feel that there is a moral obligation by people that are already established in the system to help others to get there. And it can't just be based on advertising on Reddit or Team Liquid. It needs to be some sort of journalist integrity, if you will, to highlight those things.
Well, hopefully, I'm just going to, I don't want to monopolize your time, so I just want to say that, I know that, Shifting Gears is such a great show. I think that there are so many other things out there, and the way that, there are just good souls in esports, and, we try and, or I shouldn't say we, anyway, y'all...
It's the royal...
y'all, really do a great job of trying to make esports better and making the people in esports better. And, Day9 tries to make people be better gamers, but I think that, here on Shifting Gears, you'll really try to just, make everyone better off all around. But anyway, I'm going to stop monopolizing your time, and thanks for having me on.
But real quick, man, what's your Twitter, and when can we hear more about Behind the Screens?
Plug your show, buddy.
Okay, plugs. Okay, I'm at RealDAQ, RealDAQ. And you can find out more about Behind the Screens there. We are currently doing some behind the scenes for Behind the Screens and trying to make it look as professional as possible. So I don't really know. Hopefully within 2 weeks we will be back on the air. Okay. And we've got some big changes coming up that are going to blow your socks off.
Is it going to be you and Anna still?
Yep.
Good.
Yep. So, Anna Prosser is the best co-host that I've ever worked with on any show. And and I've had a number of co-hosts on the radio in college. So, anyway, thanks. Clutch is for all y'all that are watching. Go and watch Clutch's interview on Behind the Screens. Just saying.
It's pretty good.
Anyway,
it's a good
all
show.
right. Thanks, guys.
All right, Dak. Thanks for coming on.
Have a good one.
Oh.
And just one thing about that, like, established, that whole established the old boys club is like, it exists and it's going to exist, and it's not even necessarily a bad thing that it exists, but use it, right? Like, if you know people that are well known that are in that old boys club, ask them for shout outs, things like that. Ask them to help you, and I think a lot of people would be more receptive to that, like, especially if you individually ask somebody, then they would say giving a shout out on their show or plugging your show on their show, or something they're involved with. And honestly, Josh, I think that's something you and I can do a little more often. Hit up some of our friends that are a little bit more known, have a few more Twitter followers.
Yeah. I'm going to try to get Apollo on the show in the next couple of weeks.
That'd be something.
After Asus ROG and the Nordic Finals. So we're working on that, man. I'm just, I'm trying to pay rent first.
Yeah,
but,
for sure.
But, yeah, and some very key people have seen the show. And to me, I may not have as many viewers, say, as when Destiny starts streaming, but key people in business have seen the amount of episodes I've done, and the numbers on YouTube in terms of viewership, and they see the quality of the show, and that means a lot as well. And that's part of that consistency of keeping key of, they think, well, if he does it for free, imagine when he starts getting paid, how better it'll be, kind of thing. We also have Tubby that wanted to call in. I'll add him to the conference. I just responded thanks instead of calling now, so hopefully it means the same thing. Tubby, you're on Shifting Gears. Hello.
Hey guys, how you doing?
Hey, good.
Thanks for taking my call.
Oh, thanks for calling, man. What's your question? What would you like to ask here at Shifting Gears?
Well, to start off, before the conversation started, it was it was about MLG, like moving to other cities or branching out, or do you feel that they're just pretty much established in the cities and they're just going to keep repeating, like Columbus, Raleigh, Orlando, Anaheim, or do you think they're going to try to branch out a little bit more, like maybe, I don't know, like Pittsburgh or Cleveland or something?
Seattle?
Yeah, or Seattle.
I'd like to see an MLG Seattle. Good question, man. A lot of that is just knowing the people at the convention centers and the booking deals. And best deals at the cities. They provide the best rates. The cities like it because it brings in a lot of money. One of the cities, MLG brought in over $1 million worth of business. Just for that. Providence.
Was that Raleigh last year?
No, it's Providence. Providence. Yeah, the mayor called it Friday MLG Day.
Yeah. Which
was pretty sweet. So these cities really appreciate MLG coming in, but there's bids. And in terms of business, the city's bids on the company to come in, like the rates, how much it's going to cost and whatnot, and MLG goes with the lowest bids. And what's going to bring the most fans there as well, they have to think, is this location close enough or considered a hub for the rest of the states around or for the whole country that they would want to go to? Is there enough hotel accommodation? Is the internet good enough? So there's a lot of things they have to consider. Is there a specific city, Tubby, that you would like MLG to come to?
No, not really. I just think the northeast somewhere, like that whole, like Buffalo, Pittsburgh, Cleveland area. I'm from Northwest Pennsylvania, and I was looking into. In fact, I contacted you, and I still have to contact some other people in that email that I wrote you. I represent Tubby for a Cause, and I was looking and doing an event, and they're like, "Oh, you're doing an event on the East Coast? You're nuts. There are no SC2 players on the East Coast." And I'm like, "No, there's a bunch of us. There's, I mean, granted, all the pros are like in houses or Korean or whatnot, but there's a lot of other people that play StarCraft and would show up to an event.
StarCraft Boston was huge, man.
Yeah, that was great.
Yeah, exactly. So I was looking at holding this tournament at a local college and stuff. So I contacted. I'm waiting to hear back from them. So it's just like there's no way. There's got to be more people. I mean, there's like hundreds of thousands of people that play this game. There's got to be people near me. I know a few people in real life that play, but there's got to be people that will show up to an event if you just, if you hold it, they will come.
Mm-hmm.
That is my premise, and I just figured, why not? Everybody's telling me no, but why not? Then, other than, oh, well, everybody's in California. Okay, prove it.
Yeah. I'd love to see more events, more in general, but especially on the East Coast. So one thing I was talking to the Agnes from Quantic, because he lives, pretty close to me and Josh and Illusion. I think Illusion's now in the Quantic house, but he used to live around here. There are a bunch of. We're in Virginia, by the way.
Secrets out.
I was wondering. Like, I was genuinely curious. I'm like, I wonder how many players are in Virginia. Like, if I ran a small event or something like that, how many people could I get to show up? Like, would it be something doing worth my time? And so, I don't know. If you're thinking about doing one in Northwest Pennsylvania, like, have you put that out there, like, on Team Liquid? Have you tried to see how many people, or had any idea how many people would show up?
Yeah, I think I could fill a 32-man tournament fairly easy. There's a couple of good streamers. One of the guys, Toby the Fat, GM Protoss guy,
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
who was mentioned a couple of times. Yeah, he's from the eastern part of Canada, right there. He's not that far away. There's also Nathanius, who's a master Terran player, who's a pretty big streamer right now. And he's just over in State College, so he's only like about 4 or 5 hours away. And he said if I host it, he'd come. So
you might want to talk to you know who Lucky Fool is?
No,
He's I think he's GM Terran player, and he runs he used to run, I don't know if he still does, runs LAN events out of DC, and he might be able to give you some advice on that. And I think he had, at least for a while, pretty good attendance for being a pretty unknown event, and he's on all the time, so you might want to hit him up on there. But yeah, I mean, I honestly,
I'm sure you've already contacted them, but if you haven't, the New England StarCraft 2 League, I mean, even though they're farther up north, there's some people that you can contact because they threw a tournament recently.
Okay.
And it was pretty successful. It was tough timing because they ran it during the same time as DreamHack, because it's kind of tough.
I have no idea what your financial situation looks like for running this, but honestly, I hope you do it, man. I hope it works out. I'm really curious to see how it works out.
Yeah, see, the difference is that, like, Tubby for a Cause is a charity, okay?
Mm-hmm.
And what we do is we use gaming as a way to raise awareness for PTSD. Me and my partner, Godly, are both OIF veterans, and we both have PTSD. So we kind of use it as a way to, to talk about, what our condition is and the challenges we face and how we use StarCraft and other games to try to get over it. And we're trying to raise money for the Wounded Warrior Project. And we committed to raise for them $50,000, and we've raised $350 so far. So one of the things we're looking into is doing this big LAN event and this big tournament. It's going to be over Veterans Day weekend, which is November 11th, and it falls right after the fall MLG event and right before DreamHack. So hopefully the timing's right, and we can get enough viewers online as well to make it worth it. But that's all still like in the works. I haven't even nailed down the venue yet, but at least you guys gave me some good directions to go, some good people to contact. So I'll get a hold of these people and see if they can help me out.
For sure, man, and keep us informed. Like I'm from a military family. Both my parents were Navy, so I'm like genuinely curious to see how it goes and maybe if I can help out.
Oh, awesome! Yeah, that's great. Yeah, you can contact us. All of our stuff's on our Twitch. All the links and stuff everything is on the Tubby for a Cause Twitch site. You can get a hold of us through there.
Okay.
Thanks for allowing me to shout out. I don't get much exposure, but thanks for that. I'm on Twitter, Facebook, everywhere. Just Google Tubby for a Cause with the number 4 in it, and you'll find us. We're everywhere. So.
All right, Tubby. Thanks for calling in, man. Good luck.
All right, thanks, guys. Appreciate the help.
All right, bye-bye.
Follow him on Twitter. All right. That's great. It's always something I like. I really want to see succeed. Not only just because it's a charity, but of course because it's a charity, but also just because we really do need more like semi-pro lands, more local things, and I harp on that a lot on this show. But yeah, I really hope that works out for him.
Yeah, I do too. It's kind of a bummer that there has to be internet at the venue for it to work.
Yeah.
Yeah. I wonder if that's been a deterrent for stuff like that, man. I was like, hey, we should get there and have LAN. Oh, we have to have internet. I wonder.
Yeah. I mean, in all honesty, like, LANs aren't the world's most common thing, so it's probably genuinely difficult to find a good spot to run a LAN. You know? Though I think looking into it at universities, colleges, things like that, it's just a pretty intelligent idea. We've got pretty good infrastructure for the internet and the space to do it. So.
Yeah, it's true. Big announcement from Evil Geniuses. Suppy got added. Pretty cool. He did very well at the Spring Championship. So
yeah, he was a beast. Actually, he was dominating nerds left and right out of the. He was in the open, right? Yeah, out of the open bracket.
Yeah, yeah.
So that's a really cool pickup. It's nice to see EG grabbing some of the younger, less known players instead of just going for like the huge names.
Yep, yep. I believe he was with Check 6 before. So.
Yeah, I want to say.
Yeah.
Check 6 sounds right.
So best of luck for him. Best of luck for Evil Geniuses, and best of luck to Check 6 for probably having to fill his spot on the roster. And if not, you know, hey, good for him, man. Good for him. I don't know if he's going to move to the team house or not. But Arizona's pretty hot right now. Good luck moving. So this is kind of last call, guys. We had some really good calls, good questions so far on Skype. If you have any questions, go ahead and hit us up in the chat. We'll try to answer any more before we sign off. I don't think you noticed any more, Wigan.
I
know somebody asked me one.
Yeah, link that in the chat.
Zaltius. If you go ahead and look for more, but I'll answer this one. Clutch, where do you see yourself in esports right now? Where do you want to be in esports in, say, a more long-term role? I see myself in esports right now as a storyteller and also as a caster. A storyteller in terms of a host to tell the story of the players, to hype the players up, to get the crowd excited, and to interact with the crowd. And as a caster, as you know, casted games, obviously there's so many talented casters out there to choose from, but I'm the utility man. I can host, I can cast, I can work a camera. I'm where they need me to be. So that's where I see myself in esports, and that's where EMG sees me in esports. I mean, you guys have seen me. Well, you haven't seen me behind the scenes of all the work that I did, which was a lot. I mean, I remember having my MLG shirt tucked in and a radio on my hip and talking to Wigan for 15 seconds to try to figure out how to get Lucira's keyboard and mouse to work. I mean, remember those days, man? They were nuts.
Oh yeah, it wasn't that long ago.
No, it wasn't. And going from where I am now, you know, being on both sides of the camera and understanding a lot of how live productions work. I want to plug Newsroom. If you guys haven't watched this show, it's pretty good with Jeff Daniels. It's on HBO. And 3 years ago, I would not have as much appreciation for what they emulate in a drama on that show. I wouldn't have as much appreciation than I do now of being part of a live production and all of the cues from the director and running things live and new ideas on the fly and new stories that come in and presenting it and having to memorize or have a card or notes and all those things. Like, it's just so much that has to happen to make it the best show possible. And to be a part of that is intense, but it's completely worth it.
Too bad it's on HBO.
Too bad.
They make great shows, but it is hard to give them money to actually watch them.
Yes, it is. But I am able to watch it thanks to HBO Go, which is not in a very good beta form right now for Cox cable. The frame rate's really low, especially when I watch it on a big screen TV. It's kind of bad. But where do I see myself in the long term, man? I see myself hopefully making a living doing this, or at least being able to pay my bills. And in the future, as esports continues to grow, using my talents to spread the gospel of esports to the world and to show that esports is not a flash-in-the-pan fad of a bunch of nerds getting together and playing video games, but that it is dedicated people trying to tell a story of hard work and devoted career-level play style of a tactical game that requires a lot of patience and understanding and experimentation and knowledge to play correctly and at a level that can win money and to show that to the world. And at the same time, get a couple Oscars, and make sure to mention esports in my speeches each time. So that's the plan for the long term, my friend. But I really have to say, Esports Management Group has really helped me in the long term. I'm so glad I signed with them. As is Tasteless, as is other people as their clients, because they can offer the opportunity for my long-term goals to come to fruition. It's a tough road. One of the hardest things I see sometimes in the posts of people on the internet is like, oh, you know, they get so much money, you know. It's like, guys, it's not true. It's not. It's really not. I'm not going to disclose how much I get paid or how much other people get paid, but yeah, but it's getting there, and pretty soon it's enough to make. Pretty soon it'll be enough to make me smile, but it's not enough for me to retire, or for anyone to retire yet. But we're getting there. We're getting there.
I remember when you did your somewhat controversial post about wanting to host for NASL. They were like, a bunch of people were like, "Ah, Clutch just wants money. He wants more money." I was like, "Wait, what the fuck?" That's the least true thing I've ever seen. Like, if he wanted money, he would go get like another job. Not make money doing this yet. Like,
if I wanted money, I'd go work construction right now, man.
Yeah, you could. I mean, like, over the same period of time between events, you could probably work a minimum wage job right now and make way more money than you do actually hosting like events. But I mean, I know we can't go into specifics, but like, the money is not there yet.
And we won't, because you know why? It's nobody's damn business. That's why. It's mine, it's EMG's, and it's the leagues. And
true.
That's where that's as far as it's gonna go, guys. I had one guy come up to me at Canada, and he's like, "Tell me how much you make." And I said, "No, tell me how much you make, man. No, I'll tell him how much I make. I don't care. I don't care." He kept pressuring me. I just kept telling him no. I was sitting next to the very lovely Zoe, by the way, and she was kind of laughing, and like she was kind of shaking her head as well. But guys, guess what? It's none of your damn business how much I make or how much anybody else makes. All right? I work hard, and that's the first thing that matters to me is hard work. And I can look at myself in the mirror and say, "You did a good job today," and go to sleep at night instead of, you know, whatever.
That's honestly, like, you don't need to know specifics about what people make in esports, but basically it's almost always true if you say they could get a different job and make more money if they really wanted the money. Like, that almost every single person working in esports is doing it because it's what they want to do, it's what they love, not for the money.
Wawa SC, why doesn't people who are part of the old boys club, why don't they
give more shout-outs to small events like NESL?
I don't think that doesn't fit, but it's okay.
Threw you off.
Yeah, it's like, wait a second, proper English. No, it's all good, Wawa, no problem. So he's pretty much saying, why do the people in the old boys club don't give shout-outs to small events like the NESL and such?
Honestly, like,
go ahead, William.
I was just going to say, like, honestly, it's like not on their radar a lot. It's the people in the old boys club. It's not like they're like, we want to keep this stranglehold we have on the scene or anything like that. Like, they're just busy as hell, man. Like, look at the schedule Artosis has or any of these players have. Like, they are busy as hell, and they pretty much just have to focus on their job full time.
Yep. But
I think they could do more to grow the scene. Like, they could probably, but I mean, it's not just on them to do it.
Yeah, it comes down to resources, right? I'll tell you what. To me, this is a great scenario of where this could happen, okay? Major League Gaming doesn't have anything between their arenas. They're busy planning and doing whatever they're doing for the arenas and for the major events. NASL has a 9-week format where they get to cover all sorts of things happening in StarCraft. They have a lot of great segments, so they transition into, and then they work into a finals. 2 different formats, right? Both super busy, both working to accomplish what their goals are as companies. If I worked for one of those leagues, we're bringing up IPL as well. If I worked for one of those leagues, I would once a week make a 15-minute segment to highlight all the minor leagues and what was happening in the StarCraft 2 scene that people were missing.
Let's just do that, Josh. Let's just do a weekly This Week in StarCraft, minor leagues, semi-pro. Honestly, we could probably get their games, stuff like that, give them some exposure. Let's just do it up. We'll cast it, you and me.
That could be a thing, man. Or at least a 5-minute segment of Shifting Gears This Week in
For sure.
StarCraft.
Honestly, it's something that, we should probably do it.
Yeah. Well, it's almost like it's all growing and it's awesome, but it's almost like all growing too fast. There's so many people that can actually devote career time. When I mean career time, like 9 to 5 time to work on esports. There's just a handful of people that can do it. But
Yep.
we're gonna get there, guys. But you know, if one day I have the resources to do that, I definitely would. I tried, like I said, retweet things like that and try to build up the local scene. And if it means that I have to knock on doors, which I did for over 800 hours in Los Angeles talking about religion, the hardest thing I will ever do in my life, that 2-year mission I served in LA, Compton and Watts and South Central, Venice Beach, Redondo Beach, I told myself I would never again knock on doors for any purpose. But I would knock on doors to tell people about esports. Like if there's a local tournament down at the university and it's happening in 2 weeks, and I'm saying, hey, this is a brand new thing that is huge. It's huge on the internet. It has exploded. You know, Forbes is talking about this. We're doing a local event. You should come check it out. There's going to be food. It's going to be a barbecue. There's going to be live music, and they're going to stream the games and have casters. It's going to be a good time. I'd tell people about it. I'd give them flyers for 4 hours on a Saturday, just telling people about it in the neighborhood. Why not, man? That's grassroots stuff. And that stuff builds into the WCS, and the WCS builds into the finals, and it builds into the other leagues, and it continues to grow. The same thing people did with football back in the day for college. Nobody watched football on TV, barely anybody listened to the radio, but they would go out and say, hey, it's going to be a great time at the college here, come check it out, and they did, and now look at the NCAA. So, anything else, Wigan? This has been a really like a soapbox episode, man. Newsroom's a great show. You guys should check it out. Like, it inspired me to just spit opinion and truth out, you know.
The first episode is free on YouTube, by the way. I watched that. I really enjoyed it. I haven't been able to catch it because I don't have HBO, and they won't let me buy individual episodes or anything like that. Yeah. Damn it, HBO. But yeah, first episode is free on YouTube, so people should legitimately check it out. It is quite good. Yeah.
But
I'm not a big TV guy either.
Yeah. Overall, guys, it's really like resources is really tough, and people are still trying to grow their own leagues now. That's pretty much the overall answer for why there's not as much highlighted.
And I do remember one thing I wanted to say is we referenced Kenneget's blog earlier about immaturity in esports. And
growing pains,
a lot of it is legitimately growing pains, and we look at this old boy club that we've taken to calling it on. Thanks, Wawa, maybe on the show today, but a lot of these guys are pretty new to the amount of exposure they have, and they're just still in the mindset of I just need to build my friends up, and I gotta shout out my old teammate here and do this, and they have all their own concerns in their own tournaments. It doesn't really surprise me that they don't shout out some of the smaller leagues a lot, because it's just not on the radar. And the same reason, like the same way that me or Josh would, like, if we saw one of our friends on Twitter, right, and they were doing something, we'd retweet it and give it as much exposure as we can, because that's just, we know the guy, and that's how we got exposed to it. So we'll try. It's the same way. It's the same way for a lot of these guys that are at the top right now. Is they only really know what their friends are doing, so they pump that instead of what this, like NESL or something like that people haven't heard of. Instead of doing that,
It's true. But as we take a step back, guys, and this will be my final thought, as we take a step back, it's only been 2 years. Look at how much we have accomplished in 2 years compared to television and traditional sports being around for almost 100 years, at least with radio and radio broadcast of games, and then moving into television. 2 years, guys. StarCraft 2 esports has been around, and look at how far we've come. Imagine.
Went from a projector and a bench in the corner of a room to a telestrator full-time analysts and an arena event with a studio. Like, that is ridiculous when you think about it, man. That is so crazy.
In 2 years. We're doing a pretty damn good job so far, all right? And I don't mean to curse too much on this show, but sometimes you got to use the power.
That's my job, man.
You got to use the power of swearing to get a point across. Well, guys, that's everything for this episode. Wigan, this was a really good episode, man. I think we hit some things that needed to be hit on in a fair way. Just a little bit of opinion, but a lot of it, I think, just straight up truth. And is there anything else you'd like to add? Any shout-outs?
Maybe we'll have to consider hitting it on a different time slot that isn't during a day.
I know, man. Don't worry. Don't worry. Some things are in the works.
That's what the VODs are for.
That's what the VODs are for, though.
Not follow me on Twitter at DBWigan, but I think everyone that watches today probably already does, because these are the awesome core people that will watch us instead of a Day 9 daily. Thank you so much, everyone who's watching us today. And honestly, big shout out to Dak. Like, check his show out; it's really good. Especially, I know he did a interview with Sir Scoots. That was fantastic. Learned a lot about Scoots, even though I've met him so many times that I didn't know. And he's a great guy. So definitely check his stuff out. Check his VODs out, so you can know what we're talking about when we talk about a show. And shout out to Hammer Time again, just for being a boss. And he does a lot of. If you're interested in Halo at all, he does a ton of stuff with Halo and the Halo Council and things like that. So check all that stuff out too.
All right, well, Wigan, as always, man, it's a pleasure to have you on the show.
Thank you very much, man.
I do not have an official announcement of what next week's episode will be, because I'm going to decide whether to wait a week longer for Batman or not. I'll let you guys know. Matt B., who was with us to review Prometheus, he was also at the Cannes Films Festival. He's a great guy. I graduated college with him, and we're going to bring him on once a month now to do movie reviews and talk about the impact of stories and look at classic movies and new movies and how that ties into how stories are told and how we can connect with stories as a whole. How we see stories in esports, how we see stories in video games. So it's going to be great. And who doesn't?
Do you have an email for feedback, Josh?
I do. It is this.
Let's plug that, and to people who are watching right now, or if you're watching on a VOD, clutch-8@hotmail.com. Let us know what kind of content you want to see. Give us some suggestions, anything, or just stuff you like that we've done, stuff like that. Help us out for show ideas for like next week, for example.
Yeah.
Things like that. We're always willing to listen to feedback, or just hey, fuck that Wigan guy, he's an idiot. Whatever. I don't care. Throw all the feedback you can there, please.
Yeah. Our next episode is going to be episode 50, Wigan.
We should just have a fun one, man.
I know. That's what I'm kind of like thinking about doing. Man.
Play some games or something. Maybe play games with people that are watching, things like that.
Yeah. So I'll let everybody know exactly what we're gonna do. And I think we're gonna push Batman to the following week. But for me, shout-outs. Follow me on Twitter at Clutch08, getting closer to 4,000 followers. Let's continue to spread the gospel of esports. I'm so grateful that so many people have commented on the arena. They liked what they saw. It was a great format, great storyline. They loved NASL. That was a great format, great storyline. A lot of good things happening in esports, but it's one day at a time, one step at a time, guys. Life is really tricky after graduating school. That's the position I'm in right now, and trying to kind of find your way. Wigan's been there for a little while, so this country and its economy and whatnot, there's so many things that we could complain about, but we are the ones that are responsible for our own success. And it could be being at the right place at the right time, talking to the right people, or it could be making your own company. But you have to make a decision and go with it. And if it turns out to be a mistake, pat yourself on the back and said, well, at least I tried something, and now I know it's time to try something else and move on. The same for esports, same for any kind of career. Hey, it could be the same for relationships, man. If it doesn't work out, say goodbye, be friends, and move on. All right? Life's too short to be caught up in mistakes.
Or don't be friends.
Or don't be friends.
Sometimes that's the...
Don't be friends. Take each other off Facebook, say goodbye, and delete all the contact information, I don't know. This is not a relationship advice show, guys. That's different shows. But if you want to break into the scene, you could start a show like that. No, probably not on Twitch. I don't know. All right, guys. Well, thanks for watching Shifting Gears. It's been a pleasure to host as always. Check us out next week. It's going to be a fun one. Episode number 50. Stay tuned for more information about that. Make sure to follow me on Twitter, like I said, at Clutch08. And tell your friends. Shifting Gears is an awesome show. I think so. Wigan thinks so. And a lot of other people in the esports realm think so. So with that, good night. We'll see you next time.